Cimaglia here, and welcome back to my channel. January 2019 marks 10 years from the first time I started working for Mickey Mouse himself. So I thought there is no better time to continue on with my tips from a retired Disney princess series than right now on my 10-year anniversary. Today I am going to be talking to you about the best
Disney gig there is.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, my favorite job that I ever had working for the Walt Disney Company. If you haven't seen my previous video, I would make sure you go over and check that one out. I will link it in the little card above and link it in the description below. That video tells you about my first Disney audition experience, and if you are interested in auditioning for the company, I think you'll find it really helpful. To fill you in, I worked for Disney World, Disney Cruise Line, and finally at Hong Kong Disneyland. And today, we're talking about Hong Kong Disneyland, my favorite place that I ever worked within the Walt Disney Company. And here's why. Reason number one, the compensation. Listen, work is work, and we gotta talk about money. So I worked for Hong Kong Disneyland from 2011 to 2013, and I was cast as Belle from Beauty and the Beast in the show The Golden Mickeys. When I would come home to visit and people would be like, well, why don't you just work in Florida again? Don't you miss your family? And yes, of course I do. The compensation at Hong Kong Disneyland was amazing. I got paid better than I would have gotten paid if I was in an off-Broadway production here in New York. I had company provided housing. At the time, we were living in an area called Tin Shui Wai, which is the suburbs. It's about 45 minutes outside of central Hong Kong, but they would give you transportation to and from work via coach. I had to uproot my life, but I got paid a very competitive salary and I got amazing housing. And by the way, each of us gets our own studio apartment. They were serviced as well. I had housekeeping every week. Talk about being a princess. We were really spoiled. Moving on, you also get a paid vacation. What? You're paying me to do what I love? And you're gonna pay me to go on vacation? That's what I mean. It's a really, really cool place. And also, Hong Kong honors a lot of public holidays. So if you have a public holiday, you can tack that on to the end of your weekend and then boom, you can go travel somewhere. And now let's talk about Hong Kong's ideal location. First of all, Hong Kong itself is an amazing place to explore, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But Hong Kong is such a central hub to be at if you want to explore Asia. You're so close to Thailand, Japan, Vietnam, the Philippines. I have friends that went to Indonesia. There are so many places you can travel to within Asia while you have this job. I should have taken advantage of it a little bit more. I was able to travel to Macau, which is just a short ferry ride from Hong Kong Central Pier. You're there in an hour, and it's kind of like the Las Vegas of Asia. And that's really fun. There's a Franco Dragone show there. There's lots of great entertainment and casinos, and that's always a fun little weekend getaway. But I was able to travel to Thailand, I was able to go to Japan, all while I was working there for a couple of years. So those are opportunities I treasure, because to fly to Asia from the US, that's a huge trip and that's a lot of money. So to be able to be there and you can just hop over 2 hours to Thailand, 5 hours to Tokyo from Hong Kong, it was a real amazing gift. And now getting back to Hong Kong culture. Hong Kong is an amazing place to live if you're an English speaker, especially if it's your first time moving away from home. And for me, oh, that is so random. Right now, as I'm talking to you, my friend who I met at Hong Kong Disneyland just texted me. Ooh, crazy, sending out the Hong Kong Disneyland vibes. So, Hong Kong culture, I'm just so obsessed with. I love Hong Kong so much. If you want to see me walk around Hong Kong and take you on a little trip there, you can go to my other YouTube channel, Globetrotting Glamour, which is my place for all things travel and beauty, and I'll link that in like a little card above and in the description below, and you can come with me to Hong Kong and I'll take you around Hong Kong Disneyland. I love it so much. But I loved living in a place that could feel just as much like home as I wanted it to. Like, for instance, in my apartment complex in the suburbs, like almost an hour from the city, I had a McDonald's, a Pizza Hut, a 7-Eleven, all attached to my apartment building. Talk about feeling like home. But also, at the same token, I would wake up in the morning and in the square, in the park outside of my apartment building, there'd be groups of people doing Tai Chi and fan dances in the morning. Like, it could be as cultural as you wanted it to be and as much like home as you wanted it to be. There is so much to do and try and see in Hong Kong. You gotta go. It's such an amazing opportunity to live in such an incredible place. Another really special part about Hong Kong Disneyland is the fact that in my particular job, sometimes I would have to be the swing for the day. So for those of you that aren't theater people, a swing basically goes into the show if a performer gets hurt, injured, sick. You know, hurt and injured are the same thing. By the way, this is my second time filming this because there was this crazy hair that was like out of place, and I was watching the footage back and it was driving me nuts. So we're filming this again. Take 2. Basically, my shifts would work like I would go in, I would have maybe 3 shows that day, and then I would have to stay and be swing for like the last couple shows of the day just to make sure the other girl playing Belle for that day was fine and could finish the rest of her shows. So if I just had nothing else to do, I could tell my manager that I was going into the park. Yes, that's right, into Disneyland to go play around, walk around, have a Mickey bar ice cream if I wanted to. I could go on Space Mountain if I wanted to, all while on the clock. I don't know if this is still the case. It's been some years since I've worked there, but as far as I know, that's still the case. We also had just a lot of downtime doing those kind of swing shifts. So I was actually completing my bachelor's degree online at the time. So I would bring my textbooks, my laptop, and I would sit there and do homework, sitting next to Goofy, sitting next to Mickey Mouse. It was such an incredible experience. Another thing I really love about working for Hong Kong Disneyland in a professional aspect is that this particular theme park is not very big, so your management really knows you on a personal level, which is so incredible. And to have a casting director that knows you by your first name basis is so special, and it's something that I think you should value, especially as an entertainment employee, because you don't always get that, and it was amazing. The other thing that's really special, again going back to housing, well, all of us expats lived in the same apartment complex. So it kind of felt like an extension of college. Like we were all living in the same dorm, and if someone was having drinks, then you could just call them and be like, hey, come up to my room, we're having drinks. Or I remember, this is actually a really fun fact, my friend Emily Chesworth, hi Emily, love you. She would host bachelor nights, and all of the Disney princesses would go to her apartment in our pajamas. We would all bake some sort of delicious treat, and we would sit down, binge eat junk food, and watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, depending on what season it was at the time. Amazing. That kind of community you'll get if you're working at any job abroad, or when you're with any cast, if you're on a tour or on a ship, especially when you're living in a place that you are a minority. You're out of your own country. You're the foreigner. It's just really nice to have a community of people that you can be at home with. So friends, those are just a few reasons as to why I loved working for Hong Kong Disneyland the most out of my entire Disney career, and why it holds such a special place in my heart. If there's anything you want to learn more about either my process getting hired for Hong Kong, visa process, audition process, leave me a comment below. If you want to know more about what it's like to live in Hong Kong, or, you know, especially like my first 6 months there, let me know. I would love to talk to you about that too. I also worked for Disney Cruise Line, so if you want to know a little bit about my experience with that. I was a character performer there, but then I also got to sing in the main stage shows, so I have a pretty wide view of what it's like to have that experience as well. So just let me know. I want to give you all the information that you want, and let me know if you're planning on auditioning. I would love to hear from you. So there you have it, friends, part 2 from my tips from a retired Disney princess series, why Hong Kong Disneyland is the best Disney entertainment job out there. Lots of love from me to you, friends. I'll see you next time. Bye.